the 100 Season 4 premiere echoes. Honestly, this show just keeps on going. Like, they end crazy with the last season, and they start crazy with this season, because it's a tough world when you're Skaikru. It's like, you land, you're crazy space aliens, you get killed at random. You save everybody from a crazy super AI, and it's like, thanks, and then we gotta kill you. And it's like, 5-minute span. You save everybody's life, 5 minutes later. This is all your fault. And granted, throughout this episode, I was like, they kind of have a point in this one. Like, a lot of times it was just the rules or just whatever. They were different, so they were just killing them because they just landed on Earth. Any random stuff like that. In this one, I was like, they kind of have some merit to it. It wouldn't have happened if it weren't for Skaikru. They wouldn't have been taken over. Granted, of course, they wouldn't be magically saved in 6 months. We know they're not gonna, like, that would be a crazy twist if this was the final season. It's like, twist ending, everybody dies, but I doubt that's gonna be the case. So, it was just crazy watching this. I was like, man, they just saved everybody's life. Everybody knows what happened. They were taken over by this AI system and everything like that. And there was just too much together. It was either the Skaikru is involved in us being taken over, or the Skaikru is involved in a bunch of people being killed, like with Pike from the last season. And they kind of touched on that a little bit with Bellamy, specifically at the end when he's given a bit of advice, like, just keep going, like, turn the page and don't look back, and eventually you'll find that you deserve to survive. So that was like their one real, you know, notch to what he did in the last season. But I liked that. I thought that was pretty cool. And so they have basically these two things. Like, that's the history right now. It's either really, really bad because they killed a bunch of grounders for, like, no good reason, or it's really, really, really bad because they caused this crazy AI system to just take over a bunch of people. And even when they're freed, we find out that the people that were killed, of course, inside the City of Light, are dead in the real world. So their minds were destroyed, you know, in that world. So they cease to exist in this one. They die. It's like the Matrix, pretty much. And instantly, it's like, this is your fault. It's like Juan Haida. Instantly, that's pretty much the problem. This is her fault. Even though exactly what she said was, I was being chased and Lexa, you know, killed this guy. There should have been something to that, like, hey, the commander was there, you know, our former commander was there and actually helped this woman save our lives and everything. And it was just like, this person I care about is dead. You're the problem. We gotta kill you now. So, just a disaster. It was just bad, but fortunately Rowan is in this episode and he's able to kind of smooth things out by the end of it. Still a lot of tension. We have, like, public tension with, you know, Rowan accepting the coalition of Lexa and him being the keeper of the flame at this point and trying to maintain order because now he knows the truth that basically they only have 6 months to live and nobody on the ground is smart enough to know how to figure it out. And then on the other side of that, we have the 6 months to live where they have to figure out somehow a way to stop all this radiation, which I love the way they did it because I didn't know this is how it was going to play out. And initially I was like, okay, so there are these nuclear reactors, they're going to fail, and that's pretty much it. They have 6 months to basically, I just thought it was going to be in the area because it's a TV show. I just thought the nuclear reactors are going to be like 5 miles from them, and all they have to do is walk there and then figure out how to solve this problem, and they have 6 months to do it. And then we find out that these failed reactors are actually in Japan, and they bring in kind of some real world stuff, which I thought was kind of cool. And they talk about the Fukushima disaster from a few years back. And I thought that was cool the way they did that. And it was like, yeah, so once that happened, they had a plan to basically make a dozen nuclear reactors that kind of worked in a chain to make sure that nothing like that ever happened again. And unfortunately, the 100-year warranty, as they put it, it's up now. So the reactors have already failed. I thought it was going to be, we have 6 months before they completely fail. There's a bit of radiation leaking, and that's technically how it is right now. But we find out with the ending sequence, you know, coupled with the fact that they're in Japan, the radiation's already spreading. Like, they have to basically, there's no way to stop the radiation or stop the reactors from failing. They've already failed on the other side of the planet, and now they're just going through the atmosphere. And that changed up the whole dynamic of what I thought they were going to be doing, because it's not, hey, let's go to these reactors and fix them. It's basically, let's find a way to protect everyone in this area from oxygen, because that's how it's going to play out. It's already in the air. It's not something they can stop. It's just there. So they either need to become super immune, or they need to build like some sort of super dome and cover themselves from the radiation storms that are about to start happening. So I'm very curious how they're going to handle this, because now it's totally different than what I was thinking with, let's just go here and solve the problem. It's already in the atmosphere. They need to just find a way to protect themselves, and that's all they can do. And Raven, who at this point is the big authority on science and technology, she's like, yeah, we're kind of screwed. Like, that's it. We are dead. So get to banging, get to super dark stuff. I don't know what they're going to be doing with Jasper in this season, but it's either Monty's super happy, he's having sex and it's nice, and then we go to Jasper's sequence, and he's about to commit suicide because he's freaking out over having taken the chip, and his role in that is, a fairly big component early on. And it was just crazy. I was glad that it didn't happen, of course, because I was freaking out. I was like, with this show, they probably would do something insane like that in the first episode, but I'm glad that's not what happened. And I think with everyone's demise, that might actually help Jasper, where he realizes that everyone's kind of screwed no matter what, even though certain bad elements were specific to the last season because of certain things that he may have done or Jaha may have done while under Ali's control. Everyone's demise was going to be there anyway within 6 months because of the radiation. So maybe there's something to that that'll help him get out of this funk that he's having, where it's like, well, it sucks for everyone that died, but everyone would be dead anyway, with the 6 month thing. So I don't know, maybe he'll try to find some balance in there to, help himself out mentally. But that was a fairly dark sequence. I was like, wow, they did it where he like put an actual tarp down and everything so blood wouldn't get on stuff. And I was like, he was very prepared, and he wrote a note and everything. And it was just like, this is a very dark sequence. And like I said, I'm very, very happy that they didn't actually go through with it in the first episode. I hope it doesn't happen in general, of course, because I love those characters. And I do really want to see how he changes in this season. He's one of the characters I think that has really had the most change. We've had a couple of characters that have gone from being like, kind of like villains to heroes at this point. But I still feel like he's had some of the greatest development, especially, with the last season, everything that he was going through mentally and why he took the chip in the first place. There is just a lot to his character, and they just seem to be getting darker and darker. I didn't think it could get darker than the last time, and then this episode comes out, and I was like, man, he's just going further down. I thought there would be something about it where he'd feel better, and he actually feels worse. So I don't know where they're taking Jasper's character, but at this point, I'm pretty excited for it. The rest of the story in this episode, the actual main story, that was only one scene, and that was worth talking about. But the rest of the story I thought was very well done too. I mean, we have Echo, who for most of this episode took over for Rowan, and it started off nice too. It was like, okay, they come in, it's like, we're in control right now, and then this woman comes out and she's like, no, you're not. Right now, Polis is in control of leaders, or council, basically the council members of the coalition. And I was like, okay, she's keeping it simple. The ambassadors are all going to come together. It'll be like, a board, board members. Very simple, civilized. We just wait for the next commander. That's how it's going to be. For now, it's kind of chaos. We'll take control, unless you guys want to do it by force. And Echo just slits that woman's throat, and I was like, I mean, it just caught me off guard. I was like, dang, that's force right there. So, temporarily at least, right? Oh, I guess it's permanent considering the end of the episode, but Azgeda now has control over Polis, and it's much better when Rowan does it at the end compared to Echo in the beginning, where she's like, alright, we're in control, we'll kill anybody. And then at the end, Rowan kind of calms everything down as the Keeper of the Flame. Is like, this is not, I think they call it like heresy, or blasphemy is what they said. And he's like, it's not blasphemy, it's order. Like, I'm not taking this for myself or anything like that. We will wait for the next Nightblood, and that's just how it's going to be. We'll wait for them, and then that's when we'll kind of, get back in order. Like, that's what we're going to do. But for now, Azgeda is going to protect the flame, and anyone who attacks us or attacks the official 13th clan is going to be attacking everybody. That's just how it is right now. So there's a lot that was done in this episode, and I certainly enjoyed it. I know this is super random, but the actor who played Rowan, I'm kind of worried because he was in Agents of Shield the day before this episode premiered, and I was like, okay. And I mentioned that in that review. I was like, oh, it's the actor from 100, and now I'm kind of freaked out that he might die because that happened in another show. It was actually with Agents of Shield as well, where I was like, this character's in this show as well as this other show, and that's not always a good sign. So I don't know if he's gonna die in here or if he's gonna be like just a guest, have a guest appearance in Agents of Shield. But we might need to look out for Rowan as far as how long he's actually gonna survive. It seems simple enough for now, but we don't know. I mean, Echo seemed like she was gonna follow behind him, but of course everything she did in this episode kind of just makes me believe that at some point she's going to be like, screw this, I hate these people, you're not doing what your mother would have done, I'm just going to turn everybody against you. She already talks about that through like the whole episode, like, people shouldn't see you as weak and stuff like that, and she tries to insult him, and even says like, you were trying to insult me. And so everyone follows either behind her or simply behind his generals and everything like that. So he's in a very precarious position. And I just don't know if Echo's going to follow behind him as much as she says she will. So, I don't know. With him being in 2 shows, I have to see how often he shows up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for me to start having more theories about how long he might live. Like I said, it could be a simple guest appearance sort of deal. But I don't know. I always get worried whenever an actor is in 2 shows, especially when this show kills people off, because the other show was Fear the Walking Dead, and I was like, oh, they kill people sometimes. And the 100 definitely kills people off, so I'm like, I don't know, when I see an actor from, in 2 different shows, and one of those shows is fairly common where they like to just wipe people out, I get a little worried. So I don't know if he's going to be in the whole season, or how long we should expect him to survive, but I just want to put that out there. The actor was in another show, and that always worries me when it's, at least one of the shows is very, fairly well known. I should say not very well known, but fairly well known for killing off characters. So we will see what happens with them, but I certainly thought this was a great premiere. I can't wait to see how we go from Raven saying, yeah, we're all going to die, to somehow there's a solution to this. But I think we're off to a really good season. There's a lot of tension. We have the typical tension where everybody knows about it. Then we have like the secret tension where they have 6 months to live. So there's a lot to it. They can't let the other clans find out about this because they believe everyone will just go nuts, which I feel like is kind of unfair that if everybody's going to die in 6 months, I don't know. I mean, I understand that in some regards that would definitely cause chaos. People would freak out, like, what are we going to do? But I don't know. I mean, considering this show, I guess they have a point. People go crazy over the simplest stuff sometimes, so I guess not telling them makes the most sense. But you would think this would be something like, hey, we're all going to die. That's why the supercomputer took over our bodies, or our bodies and minds, really. So we should all work together. We only got 6 months to live, but at the same time, no other clan is going to be able to figure that out anyway, so I guess there's no point in telling them. But excited for this season, of course. Would love to know what you guys thought about this premiere, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts, and I would love to know what your theories are for how they're going to solve this problem. Like I said, for me, it completely changed considering we found out that the reactors not only are across the world, so they can't get to them anyway, but they've also already broken down. We get the scene where all the radiation is wiping across Egypt and stuff. So that changed my theory on how they were going to fix it. I thought it was going to be simple. They'd find some sort of solution and they would just go to the reactors and stop them. They can't possibly do that, so they need some sort of like airborne anti-radiation chemical, which who knows, that might actually be how they do it, but that's all I can think of at this point. They either build a big old dome or they build some sort of like anti-radiation chemical, and that's how they end up solving that problem. So maybe they can. Maybe we'll get to see some rubble of Mount Weather. They kind of reference it a little bit. Mostly it was because that's where Bellamy met Echo, but I don't know. That might be not the worst place to check for a possible cure, but like I said, we'd love to know your theories on how they're going to end up solving this problem by the end of the season. And of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.